Hello and welcome back to the Ceres Podcast. I'm your host Stelios, and today I'm joined by the full Podsquad team: David Nicolaou, Mark Petrou, David Miller and Kelly Barnes for another one of our much loved Podsquad episodes. These shows are always a mix of brilliant ideas, opinions and a bit of good-natured back and forth conversation. And judging by your messages, you enjoy these episodes just as much as we do recording them. In this episode, we dive into some real pressures that are hitting fish and chip shops today, from dropping VAT revenue to the government and how the government might tackle that, a change in consumer habits maybe, challenges to fish quotas, potato quality, supplier loyalty, which is always important, says me because I have no bias. We explore how customer expectations are shifting towards quality over frequency. We sort of then go sideways and we delve into the pros and cons of some delivery platforms and the growing importance of portion control and sustainability. But, along the way, we just sort of find our way talking about business strategy, succession planning, community initiatives, and the role of politics and economic cycles. You can guess that's David Nicolaou that talks about that, as always. You will also notice that I sort of get confused in this episode, which is usually normal for me, but I thought that we were only going to do one more episode from now till Christmas, because at Ceres we've been planning for Christmas and what we're going to do. So my brain was already there. However, I then duly got told off by Kelly Barnes and the crew, and I got told that there's going to be another 2 episodes before Christmas. So they're already in the dates, in the diary, shall I say, and we're looking forward to those. But yeah, because we always think of what's ahead of us, so sometimes I forget about what's happening right now. Running a fish and chip shop isn't guesswork, it's good numbers and great quality product. That's why at Ceres we built our Ceres calculators. They're free to use, from gross profit to labour costs, potato yield to VAT. They take the hard sums out of your day-to-day so you can focus on frying, serving and making money. They're easy to use. They're built for fish and chip shops just like yours. Head over to ceres.shop, click on calculators and start making smarter decisions today. Every fish and chip shop owner knows that the fryer is the beating heart of every business. But if it goes down, you're not just looking at repair bills and losing sales and losing customers and the downturn in reputation. You just can't fry. And that's why we created the Ceres Deep Fry Cleaner. It's not just another cleaning product. It's insurance in a tub. It cuts through stubborn carbon, oil buildup, it keeps your fryers efficient, reduces breakdown risk, and saves you money long term. The best part, it's so simple to use. Take the oil out, drop it in, add water, let it simmer, rinse, dry, back to frying. It clears the probes, everything, you name it. Your thermostats, they're proper clean, so you get accurate recordings. So don't wait for problems to occur. Have it before you need it. Order your Ceres Deep Fry Cleaner today at ceres.shop and keep your business frying without interruption. Before we dive in, make sure you're all signed into our WhatsApp announcement group or our Ceres mailing list. No spam, no fluff, just podcast updates, special offers, competitions and the good stuff. You'll find the links in the show notes. Right, on to today's episode with the Podsquad team. Hi everyone.
Morning, Stel.
Hello.
Good morning.
How's it going?
Very good.
Soldiering on.
Soldering? What you sold?
Soldering on.
Don't start him off again.
It's true. That is true. I just pressed the wrong button, as you all know. So hopefully round 2. So,
Meant to be the professional.
well, apologies for my voice as well, guys. You might notice throughout the podcast that my voice is going to be fading. So sometimes I might just let you guys carry on. As you know, I'm a listener, not a talker. I don't know who that was.
That's the biggest lie I've ever heard.
I'll tell you, last Thursday, I went for a gastroscopy and they put this, I'd say 50 centimetre by 1 centimetre tube down your throat. Yes, Kelly, I saw what you just did.
Apparently, it always feels bigger than it is.
It's like a metal worm, isn't it?
Yeah, and I couldn't all the way through it. She was trying to like talk me through it, and I wanted to shout. That's what she says, because it's like, oh, I'm just, and I just couldn't.
Relax your throat.
But yeah, it's like, oh, I'm just pulling out, and I was like, all right, thanks for the warning.
Greek boys on tour.
And then she said to the other girl, oh, what we at now? 45 centimetres. And I was like, straight away, I just gagged. I won't make the noise. But I was just like, oh, God, 45 centimetres. Yeah. Oh, the good news is...
impressive.
I won't say what I can do, but you can all guess. Yeah, like...
I bet your eyes went sparkly.
They did. They were all very impressed. Especially as I did it while I was awake, which again, I always find, like, I'm always like, yeah, just do it while I'm awake. And they're like, you sure? We can put you to sleep. And I'm like, no, like, I'll do it while I'm awake. And afterwards, I'm like, why didn't I just go to sleep? Like,
knock me out for that sort of thing.
But they found the problem, which is what I've been telling them for the last year, and they ignored me.
And what is the problem? Would you like to share with Group Poppet?
Why not? 11 years ago, I had an operation for a hiatus hernia, which is basically a tear on the diaphragm. And they fixed it. But the operation they did, in 30% of people, after 10 years, it fails. I'm one of those 30%. They thought that was inconceivable, that I couldn't be part of that data set. But I explained to them that all the symptoms I was having, they sent me for MRI scans, everything. But it's all right when you have an MRI scan, but it's looking at the bottom part of your body. It's not the top part. So I did CT scans, MRIs, everything. And now it is this. So 11 years ago, it was a 3 centimetre sliding hernia. Now it's a 5 centimetre one. So, yeah, I've managed to make it bigger. So, yeah. But they did say to me, I should lose weight, and I have done, and they were quite happy about that.
I was going to say, you're looking very svelte.
Yeah.
Did they find any partially digested kebabs in there?
No, I was clear. There was nothing there at all, which is a shocker. But no, basically, I think they said that me putting on the weight probably would have helped it tear, though. So, yeah, damage done. Yeah, so guys, that's it. But if you see me sort of choking in the background, just carry on. Don't stop on my behalf. And I mean that. I'm not just saying it.
So you've got to go and have it fixed then?
Yes, so that'll be next. I've got to do, what did I say? I've got to do a mammatory pH test. I'm going to have to do a mammatory test, which basically tests the pH level. I've got to do a CT scan and a CT mammatory and a barium swallow.
Oh, yeah.
X-ray, which is fun because I've had that before. Yeah, so it's all fun, guys. It's what we do. Could be worse.
I'm glad you're okay.
Yeah, I'm good.
Well,
living this.
as okay as you can
Could be worse. Could not know what it is. So, guys, let's move on. I've gave you my medical examination.
Medical history. David's bored already.
David's bored already. They both are. Don't get the other one talking about electrics in a minute. Yeah, but I just want to make a little Ceres announcement. I don't know if you've all seen. We've took on a field training specialist in Scotland, and his name is Jamie Russo. I don't know if you all know that, but we have.
What's a field training specialist?
So basically, for us, it's somebody who knows everything about all our products. Yeah. So and he's on the road, which is hence why field. You see, some other companies obviously have sales reps. This has sales built into it, but really, it's if you can't use the product, there's no point selling. So his job is to go out showing the product, and so we just wanted to welcome him on. It's not an ambassadorial role either, because I don't like that name. I think it's all about the salesperson per se, rather than the customer. For us, it's all about the customer and their needs. So
I would have called him like MI5 for batter. That's a bit more. Field specialist is a bit crap.
But I don't know. MI5 specialist for batter.
Yeah,
sounds very niche.
It's like a penetrating agent for Scotland.
Exactly.
I wish him well, Stel, because he's a
lovely
really
lad.
Good
yeah, he's a smashing kid,
and he'll do the very best he can for you. And I think that's great. And good luck to Jamie. And if he's listening, make sure you get your expenses in as well.
Oh, yeah, he knows. Don't worry. He's Scottish. He's already halfway there. He had them sent in before he went out.
Good.
No, he's a good lad. But, he's already out there, hitting the road as we speak. And, yeah, I like the way he puts himself about, to be honest. I've always liked Jamie. He's a good lad. So, yeah. Well, good luck to him. And, we'll all be on his case. He's not been elevated to Podsquad status yet, though. That is, that is a special, unique status.
Yeah.
He's
well known as well. Everybody knows him.
Good way or bad way?
No, in a good way. He's the future of the industry, isn't he?
Unlike me, I'm well known in the bad way.
Yeah, exactly that.
Let's move on.
Who taught me well? Mark Petrou. It's all his fault, David. So, David Nicolaou, you're first up, my friend. Lead us into your thoughts about the OBR and VAT. And keep it more VAT related, won't you?
Boring. It's boring numbers again, but the last 5 months, Rachel Reeves has now got a bigger problem because there's 3 billion missing from VAT receipts. So they're blaming it on people trading away from restaurants, takeaways, and cooking more at home. So that's all zero rated. So there's 18 billion not being spent in the sort of food and hospitality channel over the last 5 months. So if your business has seen sort of less customers less frequently, then you're not alone. It seems to be across the entire economy. Now that causes more problems, which we're probably going to talk about later, which is like how they're going to put that money back in the budget, which they're going to have to sort of plug another hole. So it's not a surprise that when prices go up, people are a bit more careful with the money.
I think. Sorry, I just wanted to jump in here, guys. If you've done my
that's pretty much in a nutshell what it is.
I made a few calls, but last week I got an email, and I've not had time to go through it all. But it's the Seafish annual report with all their data, and I just very quickly skimmed it, and it shows that takeaway footfall is down about 40% down. So that probably adds to this. Chatting to my friend, our good friend of the show, Kevin Newey, earlier, he knows supermarkets really well. He's saying they're seeing patterns that people are spending more at the supermarket till on own brand products. So, for example, Wagyu steaks that Aldi do, or Marks and Spencer's doing dining for two for £10 to £15 or maybe £20 with a bottle of wine. So there is evidence there that what you're sort of saying is right, to be fair, or what the OBR is saying is right. There is evidence that people are sort of spending less out. But what we are sort of seeing also is that, and I don't know if David Miller could allude to this because he spends more time out than all of us, but I think that people are going out, but they're choosing where they go for better quality food, better quality surroundings, not just the meal, but the surroundings, and maybe throwing themselves into like the deals that the restaurants are doing. And I don't know what you think there, David.
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of deals going on, obviously, in York. I mean, it's a busy place, is York, because it's built on tourism in a way. But everywhere's doing a deal, or, most of the good restaurants as well have got some sort of early bird meal on to fill those seats. And I think that I wouldn't say that our prices have risen much, but it's not cheap to go out, is it? I'm lucky that I go out with my Les and we go out and enjoy ourselves. But I've noticed that some restaurants you'll go past at 8:30 at night and they're empty. They might be full at tea time when there's maybe a deal on. Pubs are the biggest one. You walk past big pubs that are rammed on a weekend, and these are massive operations, and there's maybe one or two people in it, and I don't know how long they can go on. I tell you,
one thing that baffled me is every Saturday morning, a couple of times a week, I take the kids to jiu-jitsu, but there's a pub next door called the Penny Black, and on a Saturday, because it's the youngest one that goes to jiu-jitsu, I'll just go there because it's literally next door. And what baffles me is that they're open from 8 a.m. and there's 2 or 3 people in there from 8 a.m. And then I get there about 9:30 and I'm there for an hour. And maybe towards then there's a few more people, but you think a whole pub as big as that probably fits 150, 200 people in there. Maybe more, I don't know. But you think, what they open for? And there's a couple of guys having a pint at that time of the morning. And you think, it's really not conducive to running a good business. They've got 4 or 5 staff on, 2 or 3 in the kitchen, 2 or 3 out the front. And you think, what's the point? Like, so I don't know. I just thought it was a bit weird. But no, in terms of this though, the OBR doesn't say if there's any leakage or any money being stolen from this. It just literally says that there's receipt.
The implication is that people are switching out, but are we seeing people starting to think, sod this, I'm going to just stick we'll just put a cash only sign up and we'll pay less. I mean, you can't deduct that from the numbers. But that's a possibility that people...
I guess there's got to be an element of that. A friend of mine went to a chip shop the other day and he sent me a photo of the sign. I won't say the name, but it says, no, don't take cards or something, but here's my personal account. And I thought...
Would that be in Yorkshire?
I think it was in Yorkshire.
I saw a similar picture and I'm not entirely sure how...
I think it was Yorkshire of the West.
Yes, I think it might... I think we are probably talking about the same place. I'm not entirely sure how brazen you want to be about it.
You know, if you're a bank, though, that literally nitpick at every little thing you do, and then all of a sudden you've got, I don't know, 100 of these little £9, £12, £22 constantly drip feeding through your account, like, you think they'd look at that and say, oh, what's going on?
How, in reality, does anyone actually take them up on that offer to do a bank transfer to pay?
I don't know.
I mean, we've always talked about this, having the least amount of friction possible.
That is the most amount of friction.
Yeah, but just let's make it impossible for you to try to trade if you've got a card. So it's I find that quite odd.
Do you honestly think people in the queue will go, all right, mate, sorry, what's your name?
Yeah.
On your app?
No,
and then,
it's even better than...
What's your sort code again? 400?
It's even better than that, David. It's printed on the counter, laminated, saying cash only, or bank transfer to sort code, account number, type personal.
A name, obviously name.
The name, and it's a personal account. Now, if that business has got a bank account, why isn't it not name of business, sort code, type business? So it's I find it baffling.
In today's world, that's a very tricky road to be going down.
And from all intents and purposes, from what I hear, this is a busy shop.
And the shop owner isn't shy.
How do you mean?
It is popular on social media.
Yeah, but what I'm thinking is, like, imagine checking your phone and be like, oh yeah, got a payment from Johnny over there. You can have your cotton chips. I don't know. I just feel like it's...
I just don't know how it works. I just think they might as well just put a massive sign up saying, "Could you please investigate me, please?"
maybe that's on another laminated sign. I haven't seen it.
Well, it could well be. I don't know. I'm ultra paranoid about all my accounts being right, even when we're doing everything right.
In all of my experience and podcasting with you, David Nicolaou, I've never got the impression that you were ultra paranoid.
I am. Yes.
Kelly Barnes, Kelly.
There was a veiled insult there, wasn't there?
I want to come back to the point that David was making, that obviously lost revenue in terms of, like, you guys have said about pubs being quieter. Do you not, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but for the last year, we have been drilling into our team, probably a bit longer, that actually people's money is so precious. So that £20 note that they have left to spend on a takeaway, which used to be once a week, became probably every other week and is now every month. So it's about making sure, like, really kind of speaking to the people that are listening to us, it's about making sure that your quality is okay. It's about triple checking all the things that we're here to do in terms of fish and chips. Because actually, if people are going to spend that £20, they're not going to spend it in a pub. If you've got, if they're making a choice, let's make sure that we're continuing to make sure that our product is amazing, so that we're not losing that 20 quid and we're not quieter on a Thursday than we used to be, or quieter on a Friday. I think we've always, I would say the last 12 to 18 months, we've sort of really drilled into our team that people's pockets are becoming, emptier, and people are thinking more about where they spend that money.
I'd agree with that, Kelly. Just to reiterate, Kelly, I'd say that nobody wants to pay top dollar for mediocrity. It's just not going to happen. Especially if you're seeing people buying Wagyu steak from the supermarket, if they're buying all of these products. I'm going to shock you here, David Nicolaou. I saw a famous burger chain the other day doing offers. Five Guys, big banner outside saying, all the offers that Five Guys are doing. And they're known for being a bit more expensive than the other burger people.
Are they starting to feel the pinch?
I just think they're trying to keep volume. That is it. I think before it becomes a problem, deal with it. I think nobody wants to lose volume. They're fighting hard to keep footfall. That's what I think. David Miller?
I think as well, on the back of that, Kelly, your customer experience, obviously with what you've said there, but I think if you get it wrong, you might, in the old days, have got a second chance. You'd never get a third, would you? But now I think if you get it wrong, they don't come back. And it's as simple as that.
And the thing I was looking at the other day is that the price of really bad fish and chips is now the same as really good fish and chips. There's very little opportunity for the sell it cheap, stack it high. The people who are using very big cuts of fish have had to put the price up because the base costs are rising. So the difference being now that if you make sure that everything's spot on when you come in, that all the little the variables are all locked down and your product's really good, you'll get your customers. I mean, we've been on the back of these VAT numbers. We were looking at comparison from year to year. We're down on footfall, but we're bang on revenue. The revenues, is within £1,000 of last year. So, we've had less visits. I don't think we've lost customers. I just think they're coming in less often. But the revenue's still there on stream. I think,
David, one thing I'd add to that as well is that customer service is really important. I think customers are less likely to absolutely lambast and slate a business if the service they received face-to-face, that is, was really pleasant and bubbly and nice. I went to Kelly's, we said on the last podcast, and I was served by Meg, and I know Meg likes me, and as in we get on, I know her quite well, but she was nice to everybody ahead of me too. And I think when you're getting bubbly service, nice service, you feel like and don't get me wrong, they exist, these people exist, but you feel like an absolute cock going on TripAdvisor or Google and be like, that food I just had was absolutely horrendous, when that nice person just served you. And I think we've got to make sure that at every point we touch a customer with the service, it needs to be brilliant. And I was reading this yesterday about Conrad Hilton when he started his businesses. He wanted that every level where a customer touches something to be exemplary. And I think, there's something to be said about that. I think we sometimes think that we've always got it right. And you know what? We don't. And I know Kelly's going to enlighten us later into some of this, but I do think that it's something to be careful of. Mark, what do you think, mate?
I don't have a great deal to contribute to this because I've been learning so much just listening to you guys. And I feel very lucky to be in such great company because the points that you made are all just spot on. I often get sucked into my own little world, and I stop caring about big numbers and VAT and deficits and all of that because I'm more interested in what's happening in my own little business.
I think that's so true. If you haven't got a grapple on your own business, looking elsewhere and screaming means nothing.
But when I hear the points that have been made in the last sort of 5 or 10 minutes, it kind of brings you back out of that. And so it was very enjoyable to listen to. What I will say, though, is there are some things that we can't control, like market forces and prices going up, but we can control the customer experience. And
absolutely.
And the points that you just made there add so much value to what we do. And I've experienced it, visiting Miller's and visiting Krispies. I've seen firsthand just how you guys get it right. David, I can't wait to come and see your place too. But sadly, I've not been to yours. But anyone listening to this podcast, if you want to make your business tick better, take some of the advice that's just been given, because we can add real value to what we're doing by making sure that customer experience is spot on.
David Miller?
Yeah, I think the other thing as well, if you do get a complaint or anything comes through the door, because we're not perfect and we do get them, act immediately.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking the next day. I'm talking as soon as anything comes through.
It's an opportunity to shine, isn't it, really?
Yeah,
when
you as the owner, there's no time better than for you guys, not somebody who works for you, as the owner, because you will be known. Get on the phone or get in touch with them and deal with it straight away.
My dad always used to say that you can turn a complaint into a customer for life.
Yeah.
And I'm still convinced of that. And I know that someone listening to this will say, well, what about that moany twat on Instagram? Not Instagram, one of the review websites or Google reviews. Look, I know they exist, but we're all talking about real positive critical feedback, people that have genuinely had a not so great experience. Let's ignore the haters, because they're not coming back anyway. And do you want them? The point is, though, if somebody has genuinely had not a great experience, you need to have a policy in place. You need to be happy. You need to diffuse the situation. And I think one of the things that you don't see as much these days is I remember when customers used to come and complain. I think you all will, actually, because you're all a bit older than me. But I remember when customers would come and complain in the queue after going home and coming back 20 minutes later. Nowadays, it is online and elsewhere, and sometimes they may come back or call. So I remember my dad would be like, you drop what you're doing, you put someone else on the frying range, you go around there and you deal with it. And you've got all the other customers that are currently purchasing their food, because it was always a Friday tea time. And you've got all those other customers that are just staring, thinking, what the hell's going off here? And, that when you're under pressure like that, you do need to sort of like turn it around. We haven't got the luxury of a restaurant where the dining experience it's over 2.5 hours. This is a 3-minute situation. You need to deal with it pretty quick.
And the other good one is have some, try and, I know it's probably difficult, but, if you do refund, also give them a voucher to come back.
Absolutely. I
you know what I mean? So you
2 bites at the cherry.
Yeah, so you're saying, look, we've buggered up. Really sorry. Yeah, hands up. That wasn't right. It's not good enough. Please trust us. We will. When you come next time, here's a voucher. But this time, ring up, speak to the salary, the manager, or whoever's your manager, and we will look after you.
Yeah, we do store credit as well.
Yeah, that's sort of like singling them out as though we're really upset. We've upset, and genuinely we are. But I think it's really important to try and get them to come back in.
Absolutely. We can't. I think the risk is losing footfall. We're a fast food business is inherently, yes, it's fish and chips, but it's fast food. You do depend on repeat business. So, and there are lots of chip shops for someone to go to another one. So if they're not happy at one of yours, they'll try the one down the road. And you know what? If you've dealt with them in a bad way, the customer in a bad way, you almost make the decision for them to go to a poorer food operator for them. And let's say the other one's not as good, but they'll just say, well, you know what? I'm not going back to that shop because the way they treated me, the way they don't care, the way they spoke to me. And a lot of the time when a customer's making a complaint, they just want to be heard,
Yeah.
So I think it's really important, that is, for me.
So take it on the chin. Understand what they're saying, because you might be wrong. Not everyone, don't just go, yeah, well, and then turn around and go, oh, bollocks, they don't know what they're on about. Because you've upset them somewhere and they might be looking at it completely different to you, and there might be a gap in your business that maybe needs to be underpinned. And remember, it's not, if you're giving, like, say, 20 quid voucher away, think of the revenue they're bringing over 52 weeks of the year.
And then years. Yeah. And so moving on from this, but interesting topic, David, because it gets us on to the budget, essentially, which is now looming. What's everyone's thoughts on the next budget? We know a little bit of what the last one was like. She did say at the time, Rachel Reeves did say at the time that would have been a one-off. It doesn't look like that is the case. That OBR report tells you how they've basically essentially overspent, so the gap's going to be bigger. Yeah, who wants to go first on this one?
Do you want me to have a go? The global economic outlook's not great. We've got sort of Trump throwing tariffs everywhere. You've got still going on in the with the the Ukraine situation and Russia. So you can't get cheap energy. You can't fix things that are broken. You just have to keep on going. And I wouldn't have a job for a gold pig at this moment in time, to be fair. Yeah, it's just a difficult environment to operate in as a business, and they've got massive gaps. Not wishing to get sort of too far down the road, but it's now costing the UK more to borrow money than Greece is. And we've always usually sort of sat back and laughed at Greece, haven't we? And the olive oil economies of Europe, because they were kind of basket cases.
But they still are to some degree.
Well, they are, but we're now a bit even bigger basket case in terms of...
We've just joined them with our own problems. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, we just and a few more besides. So yeah, there's massive economic headwinds. There's big gaps in the economy, in the finances they're going to have to plug, and I don't know how they're going to do it without raising taxes or cutting expenditure.
If I'm being honest, I don't see Labour being the people to cut services. I just don't see it.
Me neither.
Yeah, I just they're not known for that. You guys, David, you've been around. But both Davids and Mark have been around a bit longer than me and Kelly. I just don't see that. They're the guys that are going to say, we're dropping this, dropping that, cutting this, cutting that, and you can see that by the council expenditure. What's your thoughts on them lowering the VAT threshold to like 30 something, guys?
Well, they're starting to talk about it, aren't they? So they're priming us for something.
But is that a bad thing? If they're going to do anything to VAT, is that the worst thing they could do?
It just depends I don't know, I haven't got the numbers, it's a guess, but how many businesses are operating under the VAT threshold because they have to operate under the VAT threshold in terms of that they won't survive otherwise. So what's it going to do to those businesses that are turning over 60, 70 grand a year?
All right, so from an economic point of view, this isn't Stelios personally speaking, but does an economy not need atrophy every now and then where you lose some of the businesses that just don't work in the economy?
I don't know. It's not the fact that you're losing those businesses, it's the fact that they employ people and keep them off the unemployment roll.
If a shop's taking 80 grand a year turnover. Yeah. And I'm just thinking off the top of my head, I don't own a fish and chip shop. You guys would know the answer better than me.
I don't know how they're living on that.
Would they be employing many people?
No. I don't think so.
Yeah.
But what's the cost of keeping somebody on benefits for a year?
I think
it's probably more than the 80,000 that they're turning over, to be fair, by the time you've done with everything.
If they dropped it to 30, there'd be a lot less limited companies being open, wouldn't there?
Mm.
How do you so explain on that one? Sorry, David, I don't get you.
Well, so people many times I've heard people, set another limited company up, even though it's the same people trading. That is clearly, they're doing it for tax avoidance.
Is that when you hit the limit, then fold the company?
And you hit the limit.
Sorry, I understand.
So what I mean is you get a lot of people who wouldn't be setting new companies up.
But I think it sort of means that you're coming into fish and chips, you've got 30 grand, but you'd probably pretty much register from day one if that's the case.
Yeah.
And I've always wondered why they don't just say, if you're doing something, like, for example, if you're going to be a hot food takeaway, you register from day one. Like, just register from day one, because it's not feasible for you to work under this number anyway, and then you're at a level playing field with everybody.
And I've never understood the binary system of registration. Whereas everything else, you get a threshold. So, your first 30 grand, for example, is about 3 or 90. After that, it tiers up. So bigger businesses pay more. Smaller businesses get sort of incubated. I've never quite understood how. I mean, it's like you say, like, you've got no personal tax allowance. You pay 40% from day one if you earn over 80 grand a year. That's it. We'll have the lot. And it is a disincentive to grow a business as well, because you're hitting that wall and you're thinking, I'm not going any further.
I guess if you're the government, they see it as, and I'm just trying to flip it on its head, they see it the other way. Their story is, we're giving you up to 85 grand to sort of get yourself ready. Whereas what happens is, invariably, is that many don't, because they're too busy getting stuck into building the business or whatever. And then they think, oh, crap, now I've got to do this. And I've always said to people, if you're pricing up, let's say, because I only help fish and chip shops, really, pubs, restaurants, but they seem to don't have this problem. But it seems to be a fish and chip thing. But I always say to them, if you're starting a fish and chip shop today, just price it in.
Absolutely.
Just price it in. Just assume that one day you're going to be VAT rated at 20%.
But the problem is people don't.
And this is why they have this.
And how many? And my question is, how many are going to be caught out? We don't know. We're going to have to find out, because if they drop it to 30, you're going to start seeing possibly businesses now not being viable.
Is that a government problem? question.
No, I think it's an industry problem, and we all. I mean, touching on what we said before. If it's 90 grand a year, what's that? It's 1,500 quid a week.
1,516 like that.
Yeah, it's not going to make any money. So are they doing 1,500 quid a week, or are they doing 3 and just saying they're doing 1,500? That's the other problem. So I don't know. You're going to start seeing. You're right when you say that they're going to shake the tree and see what falls out. I guess.
See, I think for me, I think if I'm running the government and not Ceres or a chip shop, like you almost want atrophy. You want the dead businesses to fall by the wayside. The problem is, and I'm not saying that these businesses are, I'm saying that those that will fall by the wayside. I think the problems we saw with COVID and everything is that we kept a lot of businesses going, all sorts of businesses that probably didn't have another few years left in them, that probably would have naturally concluded. So I do wonder, is it the government's role to keep businesses going when it's just not viable anymore? Well,
the government's role is actually to provide full employment. That's one of the mandates of the government, is to provide the economy with full employment.
Well, the government's role is to provide an environment for businesses to do that.
Yeah,
I get I get where you're coming from. So
putting people out of business is not a pro.
No, but it's also not good for the economy. If let's say you've got 10% of businesses across the board that are actually parasitic, or where they actually take more than they give.
Oh, it's entirely possible. We don't know. It's a best guess because there's no data.
No. I think there is lots of.
The only way we're going to do it is to suck it and see.
I think there is lots of data that shows that atrophy is normal, like within the economic system.
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
I think I'm not just talking about fish and chips, by the way. I'm talking about all business, and this is global. I think the problem is when we start thinking, oh well, we've got to be careful here. Like if you're constantly keeping a business going, whichever business it is, then is that conducive to getting the best out of a business or getting the best out of an economy?
I agree with you. The only question I've got is, okay, so you do this, you drop the threshold to 30 and 10% of the hospitality businesses fold. Those people that are involved in those hospitality businesses, what then? Are they going to go on to benefits? Is it going to cost more to keep those people at home than it will be to keep them at work and paying very little? And I don't know.
For me, a self-employed person that likes business doesn't tend to want to go on the dole. That's why they're in business. So, and I know that's an old-fashioned word, the dole, but they're not going to want to. You know what I mean? Like they're going to go find something else to do, the next opportunity where they can make money, and maybe this helps them clarify their vision.
If you're young enough.
I've seen. Ray Kroc was 40 when he bought McDonald's, so I don't know. Maybe
not again. McDonald's.
I wasn't going to say it.
I'm gonna have it. We're gonna have to have a shot or something every time you mention McDonald's. We're gonna have to take a drink. We'll be pissed by the end of the podcast. Yeah.
But no, I wasn't meant to say McDonald's. Right? I had it. Don't say McDonald's. You tricked me. Anyway, Mark, go on, mate.
So, whatever Rachel does in the next budget,
it's Rachel now, is it? It's Rachel, is it? Not Chancellor Reeves.
I don't know what else she identifies as, but we've all got special names for her. But let's call her Rachel.
Friends, aren't you?
Whatever she does in the budget, the purpose behind it must be to generate more revenue, and to that's why she's doing it. And dropping the threshold doesn't do that. But it's not going to increase more money into the coffers. I mean, what is one case of fish? $300? Well, if you're selling one case of fish a week, that's 15 grand a year.
Yeah. The numbers don't stack up, do
they? Yeah. It doesn't make any sense. So, I think you're not. If you're not selling a case of fish a week, are you a fish and chip shop?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, for me, dropping the VAT threshold in our business is not going to do it. It's not going to bring money rolling into government coffers at all. The really sad thing is, from everything I see, or whichever stance you come from, all I see is a VAT rise in the next budget. That's all I see.
Well, I think that's a lazy thing to do. I think just a blanket rise. I think I can see how it's an option. I think the options I've got is. Well, no, not that I'm like the economist advising, by the way.
Can I just say, I think you're right. It is a lazy thing to do, but I think Rachel's very capable.
Yeah, it's easy, I guess. But
decision.
you see, I think number one, probably likely is increasing it. also likely lowering the threshold.
Does nothing. It does nothing.
Less likely is widening it to out-of-home food and supermarkets, and then increasing the current reduced VAT rates. So, for example, things like charcoal and stuff like that, they're at 5%. Some sort of energy things are at 5%, 10%. Then put those up at 20%. And then one that I could see them doing is giving us a luxury goods rate, and that would probably include, I don't know, cars that cost 100K and caviar and probably steak and water. Who knows? So I don't know, but those are the things that I see as conceivable.
The only problem you've got is when it comes back to. I was reading the other day that I've talked about the Laffer curve before, about the total incidence of tax, and it was in the news today because the guy, it was 50 years ago since it was kind of conceived.
Mr. Laffer.
Mr. Laffer, Charles Laffer, yeah. It was at the White House, apparently. We get a big pat from the Donald.
So his name wasn't Laffer Curve?
No, it wasn't Laffer Curve. It was Charles Laffer -curve from the Connecticut Laffer Curves. No, I'm not kidding. And the more you tax people, the less they spend. So, yeah, they're in a pickle because they can they can put the VAT up. However, are they going to get less money?
Maybe,
we'll see.
And maybe going full circle back to the original start of the OBR conversation, maybe that is what we're seeing.
They will get less. Yeah.
Mark?
I've had an idea, just for anyone from the government listening, future or past. How about a government, and this crosses all parties, a government does what they were fucking voted in for?
Yeah.
Because all I ever see, and that's the reason I didn't vote at the last election, and I probably won't ever vote again, is when people come into power, they don't do what they said they were going to do when they came in.
I've always said that the manifesto should be written in law.
Yeah, and then when they leave, they're not held accountable for their failings.
They're just promoted out of harm's way.
Sorry, I just get quite belligerent and grumpy about this.
I said this once because I can be quite idealistic and say, why don't government do this? And a friend of mine said, events, dear boy, events. And that was Harold Macmillan. Someone asked him, why didn't you do this? Or why didn't you do that? And he says, events, dear boy. And I think, what happens is, I think they all mean well. And obviously they all want to get in anyway. That's a standard. So put that there at the standard prerequisite. But I think that this has been going on for a long time, not only in the UK, everywhere. And I think that, I don't think Labour is going to do anything. I think, but for the meantime, if your customers feel a bit richer, that's an upside. Like our good friend Brent Watson says, if Labour make my customers feel richer, then I feel richer down the line. Sometimes being pro-consumer can also be pro-business. We haven't seen much of that yet, and I'm still hopefully idealistic. The idealist in me is hoping that they do turn it around. They've got 3 more budgets after this one, or 4.
Can I just make another point that everything is an economic cycle, and we go round in a circle. There's a book that I read about 15 years ago called The Fourth Turning that says that the economic cycles are roughly 22 to 25 years. And the end of the fourth turning, it was basically the end of the economic collapse in America in 1929. And then from 30 onwards, it just roared away. The economy built. And, that cycle ends between this time, 2028 and 2032. So, we've got 4 years or 4 to 5 years more of this kind of to survive before things start to roar again. And, it's difficult because this is the backdrop that we're working against. And there's nothing no government can do to change global cycles. They can raise the VAT, they can drop the VAT, they can raise taxes, they can drop taxes. There's a backdrop, there's a grinding long cycle that we're going to have to get through. And as a business, you just have to make sure that you survive that turning of the wheel.
Yeah. I think we're done here, though, guys. Well done.
Yeah, move on.
I enjoyed that. David Miller, could you?
I'm really depressed after that.
Oh, poor thing. Well, you'll be all right. You'll be out having a gin and tonic in about an hour.
You just have to get through it, David. You just have to.
Here we go.
Keep coming to work.
let's start with potatoes.
David Miller's going to lean us in with a market report. So go for it,
okay.
David.
So let's start with potatoes. Tissues out those people, which I'm going to talk about in a minute. Because I've talked to quite a few people within the distributors, people that make chips, all this sort of stuff. There will be no shortage this year. So there'll be abundance of potatoes because trade is quiet. So we've already discussed that. Those that have irrigated will be very good, but they will be quality potatoes. So the price that will be commanding of that will be in line with a quality potato. There will be a mixed crop because of the drought in the country. Dry matters across the board will be high, and we're talking like 23, possibly more up. Don't forget Christmas start at around 26. There's also been secondary growth again, and we'll be having mixed fry colours. So, but I think the biggest thing is size. The sizes of those not irrigated will be small. There will be cheap spuds about, but they won't be very good. But there will be quality ones around, and you'll be paying the price for them. So again, it's entirely up to whoever, your individual shop that wants to do it. But I think going back to what we've talked about, to get through this next couple of years, you've got to be serving quality. I think a bag of chips now is around, I think somebody I knew down south was paying £9 a bag. I know people on maybe who've gone contract with what happened over the last 3 years might be feeling the pinch a little bit, but you might have a good year next year with it if you're on contract. But to me, there's going to be plenty about. There will be quality about, but there'll be more inferior potatoes about as well, which will be cheaper. So again, it's your choice which way you go.
Again, you can't just go on price, is what you're saying.
But believe me, go on quality. You've got to listen to what we're saying. You've got to keep them customers coming back. Don't cut corners. Just look after your portions. Look after your rumble times, and just look after that bag that's coming through the back door. And it will make you money. Most of the people give too many chips away. And it's time to really start looking at your portions. And that is the biggest investment you can do in your business. You're going to pay what it is for the bugger spuds. Try and buy quality, please. But then start looking at how you're operating in your own shop. Okay? Fish is a bit more complex. So the recommendation for the Barents Sea is to go down another 25% for cod. But again, remember that half of the Barents Sea is fished by the Russians, so no Russian is coming in. So there's a big drop off there. Another one that's happened, and this was the quote of the week for me, the Icelandic government did a magic trick with a hat and expected to put a rabbit out, but unfortunately they've come up with a tax called the quota tax. And this starts in January 2026. I'm going to quote this. All this information I get from people that I talk to, obviously I won't divulge what it was, but what they've said is the proposed changes in Iceland would significantly alter the calculations of fishing fees and doubling your annual fishing costs. So that's possibly not good news for us. I think also that haddock expectations is better, so that will increase this year. But again, if most people start switching from cod to haddock, that's going to be supply and demand, so that's going to go up. One thing that both of my people that I spoke to is that there will not be much of skinless, boneless fillets will be not available, as Glacialis was a huge producer of these. So you're not going to have that luxury of the tightly graded. So people are going to relearn or look at how they're cutting the fish because you aren't going to get that tightly graded stuff. Most of the fishing now is on its way and they expect to have all the quotas in and most of the fishing in within the next 6 to 8 weeks. The feeling is that we're at the ceiling now, but we can't see it coming down. And it's very unpredictable now and March going onwards. So the fishing is still bad. We're not going to see a decrease in prices. So again, get your scales out, cut your fish correctly. And if this is coming, that we can't get the smaller size or tightly graded, maybe it's time to start getting a little bit of different fish in, the bigger fish, and having a go with it if you work with tightly graded. H&G as well is massive. The Chinese are taking a lot of it because they've got sanctions on them by Trump. And again, the American market has got an insatiable appetite for the H&G market. So...
Sorry, was that American or Chinese?
Both.
Oh, okay.
Both. And, the upshot is your prices aren't coming down, okay? Sorry to tell you that. Again, they really don't know what's going to happen from March onwards next year, 2026. So that's good news, isn't it?
It's good news all round, isn't it, really?
So I've got a really good idea. I think we should sell up. In fact, I'm doing a jingle now that I'm going to play on this podcast about how to buy a shop. And I've got some really good shops. I think they've got 4 really good shops here. One's by the coast. One's in a really nice place called Ceres. You've got lovely York and sunny Doncaster. And I'm going to do a jingle and, we're all going to go live on a boat, buy a boat each on the canal. And just stay in one place for 2 weeks, then and then go to another one.
Will there be gin?
I'm in.
So talking of fish for a moment, thanks for the report, David, that overall it was great. A quick anecdote on potatoes. I noticed the price of potatoes were coming down a bit in some parts because portions have started to creep up again. And I spoke to one chap recently and he goes, I'm giving my customers a bit more because I put my prices up, so I'm giving more potatoes. And I was like, why? And I was like, well, was anyone moaning? No. Okay, why? Like you've built yourself into a position of a better position, and obviously, they've done that. But here's a crazy thing. Talking of fish, I was with a customer the other day, shop owner, and he buys, and he's going to be listening to this. And it's interesting that you said that the fillets are going to be harder to come by, but he buys 10 to 12 ounce cod fillets. So basically, I'd imagine, because I didn't get into it fully with him, but he's getting them straight out the box, defrost and serve.
Yeah.
And no work. They cost him about £5 a piece, and he sells them for £8. And I did the numbers with him on using our calculator on the website, which doesn't account for oil and batter and such, but it was 25% GP.
Right, just look at just look at what you're cutting and count it out and do it weekly religiously, at least twice a week. Cut it all out, see what you can squeeze out of it, like your light bites, fish bites, all that. Calculate it to, what price you could sell it for. And it starts to give you a rough idea of where you're going.
Absolutely. Yeah,
there's a calculator that me and Stel did on Ceres website. Use it because you've got to get smart. You're not a chippy trying to run a business. You're a business that just happens to be a fish and chip shop.
The problem is he's not alone. There's a lot of talk like this on the Facebook groups. One guy was on one of the Facebook groups a few weeks ago saying, we need a VAT cut because of X, Y, Z. And then, friend of the show, Charlie Collins, sort of not challenged him actually, just asked him some questions and basically figured out that his fish portion was too big. And then, I saw there was someone else the other week. And again, he was saying, we need some help from the government. And he was saying he does a 10 to 12 ounce cod and charges £9. And you think, well, like if businesses aren't making the tough decisions to fix these issues within their own business, and I guess this goes back to atrophy to some degree, David, why should government help people?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I entirely agree. And the problem we've got is that we're probably now starting to see commodities starting to jump up again because there's the tariffs on everything, the American tariffs, everything's priced in dollars and the dollar's got issues. So your fixed costs are still rising, and at some point your costs are going to meet your profit, and the 25% margin isn't going to cover your costs. These people aren't going to have a business much longer if they don't start running them like you said, David. Perfect. You're a businessman running a fish and chip shop, not a chippy, trying to run it as a business. The people have got the relationship backwards.
Yeah, just one thing. One of the gentlemen said that I spoke to, and again, I won't quote the name, but he said, now is the time to start being loyal. Don't start jumping about because these guys are trying to get the fish in to last them through till they start catching again. And if you start jumping about, they might go to you, we're not trading with you anymore, whatever. And he says some of the distributors will be on a sticky wicket as well this year. So not just us.
Yeah, some of are you talking the fish merchants?
Yeah.
Yeah. I was talking to somebody the other day and I was saying to them, it's probably the most sustained time that we've had fish this high. Normally they've shot up and shot back down, but and we know for ourselves that we're selling less in weight of fish, but obviously we're charging more for what we're selling, so our revenue is pretty much balanced. But there must be the total amount of weight of fish sales in the UK must be down.
It is,
and and how are their businesses responding to it? And I was thinking, I wonder how long it's going to be before they start having issues internally.
Yeah.
So
just think about that, guys. Don't be swapping for like 50p there. Stick with you guys that have always looked after you, because we need them to help get our fish in.
Yeah, absolutely. Mr. Petrou, you wanted to talk to us about business strategy.
Yeah, I didn't want to discuss mine. I just want. Obviously, we're trading in a difficult climate, and I'm just about to launch a new business. It's a fish and chip shop that doesn't sell fish and doesn't welcome customers.
That's a unique concept, isn't it?
It is. Yeah, I listened so carefully about what you're saying about customer interaction, and then decided to open a kitchen where I'm not front facing. You can order online and that's it, and I don't sell fish. So but I just wanted to know what everybody's strategy was when they came into business, and how long they see themselves doing what they're doing. Is it a generational thing? Are you going to pass your businesses on? And I don't really want to pry. I just wanted to know really how many people think about it, what they think about it, and just really give the listeners something to chew over. Hey, listener, have you thought about it? When you came into fish and chips and you had all these big plans, did you know how you were going to get out, and where are you going with your business right now? And I just really wanted to have a bit of dialogue about that, really, because I'm going to be done in a couple of years. So anyone jump in?
I've when we first came into this, I didn't ever see there was no out. And I actually think it came from a conversation with you. that you asked us the question, so what's your exit strategy? And I was like, what? Do people have those? Like, is that a new thing? And I think for us, I would say probably since COVID, it has made me look at my business differently. With regards to, kind of touching on what we were touching on, profit and all of those sorts of things, that was always, right from day dot. If you're not here to make money, without being crude, why are you doing it? Because essentially that's what we're all here for, right? A better life, whether it's for our kids and families and so on. But yeah, I think now we're definitely, I'd love my kids to come into it, but once, as we always do, we give our kids better lives than we had, and they go off and do different things, don't they? And
I think I wanted to make my dad proud, and he's dead now, so I just wonder why I go and peel spuds and go fish every day now, because I haven't impressed my kids.
Well, that's it, isn't it? Like, my daughter's just literally qualified as a midwife. However, Charlie, my boy, didn't pass his GCSEs, didn't get what he needed, what he wanted, and his choice was to come in and do an apprenticeship with us. Oddly, as a parent, it wouldn't have been my first choice. I think you have these idealistic views of where you want your kids to go. However, he's really passionate about the shop, and he's really passionate about Krispies. So actually, I'd be a fool not to.
It's in his DNA, isn't it? It's he's grown up with it. He's seen what it's meant to you.
Absolutely. So I think for me, getting my kids involved and moving forward, and hopefully I think he probably sees things that I don't see, especially in terms of the digital side of the business and taking it forward in that direction. Yeah. We just something as simple as we've set up apps for our delivery cars so that the drivers can log anything before they go out. And they sent me this thing. I straight over. Charlie had it set up in 20 minutes. Knew exactly what he was doing, put it out on the chat to the drivers, and I'm like, I need to be understanding his way of thinking, because he is the next generation.
Yeah, next generation's brains are wired completely differently to ours.
It's crazy. Yeah. But yeah, I think you're right. I think in terms of business strategy, I think it's looking at developing the business in a different way to what we considered as good old traditional fish and chips.
Yeah.
I think, obviously everybody knows that Nick's with the business, and I think anybody listening to Kelly and somebody coming through, get behind them, don't get in front of them, let them go. Because they will take your business to a place you never thought you could get to. But I think those that are thinking about getting out, going back to what we talked about, VAT and whatever, make sure you're taking the proper takings, because when it comes to selling or valuing, your business might be taking this, but it's only valued at that. So think about that when you in your get out plan. For me, I still love it. Very fortunate for that. I still love it. I'm not on the tools like I used to be. So, and I've got Nick's help, so I can envisage me working at least another 2 or 3 years, possibly, but backing off more and more. I think the word retirement is used by Maya Leslie at least twice a day. So it is coming. But I think, for me, my business plan is to keep going as we are, and I'm enjoying it. So for me, it's okay. But I've got Nick, who's a driving force. So if I didn't have that, I'd have got out probably 5 years ago.
My turn, I guess. Well, my kids are 10 and 6, so there's no sort of direction for them to come into the business at all yet.
Oh, how you've changed from your father.
I have. My eldest wants to be a pilot. The youngest one wants to be a fire engine.
Fire engine.
He wants to be fire engine. I said, "What do you want to be, Mac?" "I want to be a fire engine." That's fantastic. I love that. That's brilliant. So he's 6, but George is fascinated with planes and flying, and
he wants to be Barry Seal.
I wonder where he gets that from.
He wants to be Barry Seal.
He might say Barry Seal. Yeah. Barry came to a sticky end. I've seen that film. So it's for me, as I say, I've mentioned this before. We're in a rather large grinding economic cycle, and we just need to get through it. So you need to make sure I need to make sure that my product's as best it can be. That's the keenest price it can be. The service is the best it can be. I'm very fortunate. I own the building. I have very little debt stack. I've got no debt at all on the business. Yeah, so we've just got to get through it. I'm 54 years old. I'd like to be doing this as long as the body can take it. I work in the shop. As I say, David, I'm on the tools. So I enjoy it still. I love being in the middle of the team. I love being in the middle of the chaos on a Friday night. I'm still enjoying it. But, things at some point will come to an end, especially if the kids don't want to take the business over. I can't see me sitting back and putting managers in. I'd just probably either sell the lease and do something else. So I don't know, but as I say, we've got a long grinding cycle that we just need to get through, and people will always need to eat. And fish and chips are built into the fabric of society. It's as British as the Queen and the King and London buses, and it's always going to be there. People will need to come and eat out because fundamentally people are lazy and they don't want to cook every time. And the wheel will turn, and we'll get through it, and we'll come through the other side. And I'm sure once we do get through it, we have a clear picture of where and when these cycles change. We're all going to be probably talking about how great it is again. But we've just got to get through it.
Can I just say, Stel, completely off the thing, just something that David said then, I know, I do delivery myself, and we also use Deliveroo and Just Eat. We have our shop price, then I put my percentage on whatever they're taking off me. Why wouldn't you? And those sales keep going up. So where's the money coming from?
Well, convenience, isn't it? People, It depends what platform and what customer base, but I think there is a portion of people that use delivery service, and I'm going to say this in the nicest way possible, but they're probably bone idle.
Our Deliveroo sales are up the last 3 months, 5%.
So we're almost going against what we're saying, aren't we?
Well, I've resisted as long as I possibly can. Partly because Deliveroo and I didn't really like Just Eat, but Deliveroo weren't round here. Now they're Uber Eats, but we've started to sort of the area started to come back alive, and we can talk about that in a little while.
Yeah.
So we've got drivers up. So Deliveroo we've got like an account manager that we spoke to, I don't know, sort of 2 years ago, got in touch with us today and said, look, we've got guaranteed drivers in your area. Do you want to jump back on? So we're starting now to look at doing that. And as I say, you price it for their percentage, and if people want it, they'll have to pay. If they want to come and save, whatever the percentage is by coming in and doing it either on our app or walking through the door, then they'll save money as well. So, so it's
funny, isn't it?
Yeah, it is what it is. So we finally sort of, started talking to the evil delivery aggregators, and I'm sure there's going to be some people that look at the prices and say never, but there's as you say, there's a certain portion that don't want to leave the house, and especially if they've gone home and had a few drinks and want something to eat, they can't drive. So, but convenience costs.
Yeah. I think that's the key thing.
Sorry, Mark, I've taken you right off your subject there.
No, look, it's not for me, it's for the listener.
Yeah.
You know what? I've resisted the aggregators, and I've always wanted to make my customers my customers. But I think there's a bigger conversation here on, is it time that we actually look at aggregators as a way of cultivating more businesses, more customers for ourselves, or just using it as a way of just upping what we're doing and just making sure that whatever their fees are, we put it on top of the price.
Can I just jump in there? I mean, we've pretty much tried everything we can. We've put offers on pre-a-day. We've done TalkBox push messaging. And the only growth that we can see now in our business is going to come from jumping on the aggregators and actually getting the food to the person, because we seem to have hit the saturation of getting people back to us. So we just have to accept the fact that some people don't want to come out and get it. They want to have it delivered to them, and they're quite happy to pay the premium for it. So we'd be stupid not to. And obviously, we were looking from what we were listening. I was listening to you, Kelly, about having your own drivers. And then we started looking in with all the tax implications, the insurance implications. It just wasn't viable for a business of our size to, we didn't have the critical mass of customers to risk that. So I guess we're going to start looking at aggregators, see where we go with it. If it's something big, we can probably, intercept some of those sales by having our own drivers in the future. But so please, go for it.
I was going to say, so obviously, yes, we literally took delivery of 3 new cars last week. So we sent 3 back, got 3 on lease. So we did get rid of 2. So we originally had 8. We've now got 6 across 2 shops. But I think this will be the last time that we do that. I think we will move back to self-employed. And primarily that's because of the cost of the vehicles when handing back to the lease companies have become so big. So obviously you've got to strip them of your sign writing. We correct every sort of, anything big. But what we found is that people aren't caring as much about the cars as they used to. So what that has now brought is a whole load of new paperwork that we've had to implement.
Are you talking when the people aren't caring about the cars in terms of the drivers?
Yes.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. Yeah. The care of the drivers.
Going back to sort of self-employed drivers, I think is the route that we're going to start looking back at. Right. And we did do a sort of an analysis with our accountant. We kind of looked at what classes as self-employed and what the limits were around tax and NI and all of those bits and pieces. And at that time, when we looked probably a year ago, we were just as better off employing them and doing it ourselves. However, I think obviously then in October things changed, and when we started, delivery drivers' wages was £8.60 an hour.
Wow.
So, it was a win-win situation. And that was only 5 years ago. Now look at it, and it's probably going to go up again. But however, I do think, yes, our delivery market has dropped a little, but there are 0% contracts. They're on 0-hour sort of casual contracts. So if we don't need them, we can send them home. And so, there are ways around it. But I think it's using them. They don't just drive. They clean barrels. They do the ironing for the aprons. They are a member of staff.
You're running them like taxis.
Yeah, that's exactly what they do. If they've got a spare 20 minutes, they can iron at least 10 aprons, 15 aprons in that time. So you want the money, you've got to earn it. You're not stood there doing nothing. So they are a member of the team. But we do look after them like that as well. We treat them equally. They're not just a driver.
Yeah.
But they're multi-skilled members of staff at the end of the day.
That makes sense. Everyone does everything.
Yeah, 100%. There's no difference. I think somebody commented on the other day about why does fryers and servers getting paid more? I'm like, it is not 1980. You need to get a grip of yourself. Everyone is equal, and make your staff multi-skilled. That is where you'll get the most out of them then.
Yeah, makes sense.
Team.
Yeah, exactly.
Excellent. Yeah. So the 2 Davids of the day were chatting about MSC. So I don't know which David start with, but basically it's fair to say MSC is now rolling again after a couple of year hiatus. David Miller, you are one of the first group of the first few people that have now got accreditation. David Nicolaou, you were one of the past people that had accreditation. And David, David Nicolaou, that is, were you saying you got a message the other day from someone saying you need to clean up your menu or something?
Yeah, no, it was the website. We had a few references that we buy, and we had 3 references that we only purchase MSC certified fish, which they had an issue with, and our website's basically done on these text files that it pulls in to populate, and I'd not cleaned one of them, and it said that we have MSC sustainable certification, and that was buried right down in the sustainability, and I'd completely missed it off the website, so I removed that. But they also wanted me not to mention the word MSC because it's trademarked. So I can't even say we buy MSC sustainable certified fish. So that without having the chain of custody.
So you'd have to say...
I've just said it's sustainably certified. We use sustainably certified without using the word marine sustainable certification. So yeah, I mean, they were very nice about it. You know, it was a really good conversation. He asked me if I wanted to come back on board and hope we would at some time, and pointed out the fact that the audits are in place. But at this moment in time for the business, I'm trying to cut as much sort of base cost as I can out.
Wow, he really knows how to woo you, doesn't he? Telling you everything you're doing wrong and then asking you to come back.
Well,
how smooth.
When they say you kiss me before you, no, I'm not going to say it.
Don't say it.
No, I won't. So it just shows that they are on it and they're looking at past members.
They're barking up the wrong tree.
Yeah, I mean, Mark, the reason why I left was there was a guy up the road, the shop's now closed, but they had MSC slapped in the window and weren't registered, and it was up there for 3 years, and there was no point. There was no point me paying £1,000 a year for something that the guy up the road's paying nothing for, and there's no sanction.
I was at an industry awards ceremony this year, and I was sat next to a guy from MSC, and he introduced himself, and I told him that I was a previous national winner of some fish and chip award, and he started going on about MSC and asking me if I'd got accreditation, and I said, no, I haven't, and I'm not going to get it until you guys can make consumers aware of what you are and what value you bring to having MSC accreditation. I said, because I feel as though that's where you need to be focusing your energy, because until we're a front-facing business, we face our consumers, and until a consumer can actually make a choice to come and use us because they know what MSC stands for. And he said, well, we're all over the supermarkets. And I said, great. What's that doing to sell fish and chips for me? At the end of the day, if you want my money, show me what I get for my money.
Yeah, there's very little at this moment in time from my point of view.
Absolutely, and if you're gonna put all of your energy and effort into telling people what they're doing wrong, rather than actually promoting what you're doing, you're only going to get the really elite, top flight people that can see the benefits of being MSC accredited. There are people that are keeping this alive because they've made it work. They've made it work for their business, and I applaud them. I haven't got time to make it work for my business.
Here's the thing, though. You're really hard pressed not to buy MSC fish on our channel these days.
And why shouldn't you help them push the name of MSC out by saying you only buy MSC?
Yeah, I thought it was okay, but apparently not.
Well, for me, they're putting their energy into all the wrong things. MSC needs to mean something to the consumer, and until they get that happening, why should I put my money into a scheme? Like I said, there are people keeping it alive, and they've made it work for their business. But
look, the fact that number one, I get where you're coming from, Mark, and I get where David's coming from. And we're going to hear from the other David in a moment. But I do think that they have dealt with clearly the issue that David Nicolaou was talking about, which is people that misappropriate the title. and the name. And obviously they're going after low.
Low hang. I'm low hanging fruit because I used to be a member. Yeah.
They're obviously going after low hanging fruit now because you were a member. And obviously, I'm sure now if they have the budget, and I'm sure they do, if members or people that are connected to it, blue tick holders or whatever, if they were to let people know of that situation now, they might do something about it. Now, on Mark's point, on the wider point, it's a much wider point. I've often argued that I remember I've had Lauren on the podcast many times. She's always welcome on. And I've always said that I do wonder if they just found a way to separate the chain of custody and the payment. And then if the boat vessel owner right at the top paid for it and did all the checks, and then chain of custody carried on, and then you had some sort of what is it called, David? The not the cryptocurrency, but the blockchain where you scan it at every level. So David Miller scans it at the end. The fish merchant scans it in the middle. The vessel owner scans it at the beginning. That chain of custody has made it all the way through.
You can audit it very easily.
And if you got all the money at the top end, then it filters through on price, then doesn't it? Because then that MSC certified fish is £6 a case more, just for argument's sake, guys. I'm just making up a number as I go along. So I've long argued that. However, they seem to think that is the best model they've got, and they know their business, and there's never going to be a perfect model either. And I think in this industry especially, we are very resistant to these sort of schemes, very much so. This isn't me sticking up for them, it's me just thinking we don't like schemes like this. We always balk at them. But every packet of salmon that I buy says MSC or AFC on it. No, MSC, ASC. What's the other one? Which is farmed. Any prawns I buy have ASC on them. Most fish I buy says MSC from the supermarket. So I do think consumers know, but like David said, it is really hard to get fish, even from the retail now, that isn't MSC certified.
I also asked the question of, sorry, I'll just make this point before I forget it. I asked the question, if I photograph a case of fish saying, look, well, this is what we use, this is our provenance, and it says MSC on it.
You got to blur it out.
Have I got to alter that because I've not got the license and I'm not using it? So you start getting down a rabbit hole that becomes so twisty-turny that you just end up not doing it.
But it does feel petty, but at the same time, those that are involved pay for that luxury, I guess.
Absolutely.
You want my money so that you can say that I'm MSC.
No, they want your money so you participate to the program, and they want you to then promote MSC as much as possible because you pay for the privilege.
I pay for the privilege of.
Yeah. So
do you think my customers are happy?
I don't know that. That's something only you.
Well,
do you think I sell more? Do you think I sell more fish because I'm MSC?
I think that's where David Miller comes in. I was going to get the names mixed.
Can I just finish my? I'll just finish my point. I'll pass over to David. Nobody's ever come in the 8 years that I held MSC and said, "Oh, sorry." There was one customer that said, "Oh, I'm really impressed. You got MSC." Nobody, we had badges everywhere. It was on all the branding. It was everywhere. And no one even mentioned, a lot of people just said, I don't know what it is.
Where were the badges?
The badges in the house screens, not badges. The roundup.
I just made Kelly laugh. That's all I wanted to do. I just wanted to make
the black and white animals that got TV. Yeah. Those, yeah. So yeah. So
if we're selling Russian fish, should we have to declare that?
Again, this is a choice you guys have to make. I'm not defending them. I'm just defending the program itself and how you promote a program. That's all.
It was a lovely conversation. It wasn't aggressive. It wasn't nasty. It was very polite
to promote. If you're not using MSC, just say FAO wherever Barron Sea such and such.
We just say it's sustainably certified. That's all we just use now. So
David Miller.
Right. Okay. Well, I wouldn't like to think that I'm classed as elite. So
he loved it. He's perked up.
There are, believe it or not, there's only 17
idiots
shops in the UK that have done
so
it.
many.
2 have actually, and 2 have done it on their own back. So it was dead in the water last year. We've got it going, or MSC have got it going, and I'm happy to be part of that. Because I'm a great believer, it is part of our ethos of what we do. We've banged on about it for years. You expect as fish and chip shop owners that your fishermen are MSC certified and that they do the right thing to the sea. So the way of knowing that is because they're MSC certified. You expect your wholesalers or distributors to be MSC certified. I believe myself that I should finish that chain of custody off and be MSC certified. I do a lot of teaching in primary schools around York, and believe me, they know all about the logos and the certification, and they will be becoming your customers very soon. And they are actually guiding parents of where they should shop and what they're looking for and what signs they're looking for. So again, am I thinking of the bigger picture? I suppose I am, but I'm proud to be part of it. I'm proud to do it. But I do believe that we demand that off our fishermen and our wholesalers. Why shouldn't we do it as well and be part of that chain of custody?
Yeah, no, it makes sense. What do you think to Mark's point about do you promote it to customers and do your customers care?
Is it your job or their job to promote it?
Isn't it both? I think it's both. I think it's both.
Because you've got as a business owner, you've got to go to the environment, haven't you, and to look after the seas, and you're taking from the seas or you're harvesting from the seas, so you need to let people know. And it is your job to make sure that your customers know that you're doing it and try and educate them in it. Is it the customer's job to know about it? I wouldn't say that they have to know, but it has to come from somewhere. So I know about it because of the industry I'm in. But I think that it's your duty as a shop owner to get that message over and explain how important it is that what we're doing is helping. Some might say, well, it makes no difference, does it really? Well, if we all have that attitude, then we're in the shit, aren't we? Yeah. So I believe that
I applaud you for doing it, but what it tells me is that I'm not up there where you are. I can't subscribe to it.
There's a small group of burger restaurants, and they have a burger called the fillet of fish.
Quick, everyone, take a nip. What does the logo look like of said burger restaurant?
I cannot say. This would drop me into saying the words. But no, the point is that they're MSC certified on that product, and I think it dips in and out. It's either Pollock or Hokey at any one point. It says it on their website. But they're the ones, going to David's point, they do all the promotion. I never see MSC promote them ever. If you order one on the app, it has the logo MSC. They do sort of promote it, has a little bit of blurb about it. I wouldn't say it's a lot either. I wouldn't say it's in your face. Just enough. I don't think I would have not bought one without it either, to be honest. But maybe they feel like they're just doing the right thing. Like David said, I don't know. But I guess
there's no right or wrong, is there, Stel? You know, I mean, I've got my opinion, and I'm happy to do it. It gives us another task, I suppose, in the shop for the team to get stuck into, be proud of it, make sure we're audited correctly. I just think it's the right thing to do because we expect our fishermen to have it, we expect our wholesalers to have it, and then we're the last part of the chain of custody.
I think,
I'm happy to be part of that.
Am I right that you don't see a lot of MSC wet fish? Chilled fish. I don't ever see it.
You do. Yeah, you get quite a bit on the East Coast. Yeah, oh. Yeah.
Oh. Yeah. And Mark, your mic, mate.
I'm prepared to do all of that. I'm just not prepared to pay MSC for the privilege of telling everybody that I do it. If anyone asks me, then pretty much all of the fish I buy is MSC. And for me, where I am, I just get the feeling my consumers don't actually. They're not aware of it. They don't really care. But,
it's very hard to buy unsustainable fish in our industry.
Yeah.
I get that. The Norwegians and the Icelandics have been more sustainable and used that word before we even knew what it meant.
I do think where they do need to be careful, though, if I'm just being devil's advocate here, where they do need to be careful, if someone's slightly belligerent and smart, let's say Mark that's pissed off, or David who's pissed off, because I think they've got the ability when they're annoyed.
I'm never pissed off.
No, but I'm
always pissed off.
Yeah, Mark's never happy. But no, imagine if they turned it around and actually said, we do not use MSC certified fish because we have more sustainable fish from different sources that we think is more superior. If you turn that logic on its head, that could bite MSC on the bum.
That sounds like a lot of effort.
No, you say that, but actually,
that sounds like my brother. Not me.
I've been in shops for years where they'll say, "Oh, I just saw the fish and chips for the year winner," and they'll be like, "Oh, it's a load of crap." Yeah, I think so too, load of crap, and everyone just jumps on board. Like people, we live in a very cynical world. It's very quick to say the opposite, So,
Look, I am here to change the world or anybody thinking. I'm just saying it for me. I believe it's the right thing to do, and
no one's knocking.
I'm happy to do it.
No one's knocking you for that.
And
I applaud you for that.
And I don't think it is. It's for anybody to do. And how you use that logo and how you promote it, that comes down to the savviness of the owner. And for me, it works.
And I think I do defend their right to defend the badge. I think that the wording, I'm a bit of it's a bit of a grey area for me, but that blue badge, that definitely should defend that 100%.
Yeah.
You won't see me argue with that because that's something I spoke to Lauren about many times.
One thing that is nice, David, is to know that they've rung you up and been courteous.
It was an email, but it was nice.
And explained and obviously wished that, that you do come on board at one time if you don't retire before then. Let's see what happens.
With 17 shops, they've not got a lot on their hands, have they?
But put it this way, if it was dead in the water now and it's going and I'm talking about it now and you're talking about it, other people might be interested. So you never know where we might be next year.
Kelly, so you're interested
18 shops.
3 shops?
I'm very much with Mark. For me, the concept of MSC is completely... I agree with everything that they're trying to achieve. However, the policing of it for us, and I mean, it might be different now. I'm not saying it's not something I wouldn't want to look into. But yeah, when we had it, I just thought it was, I just don't think it was policed well enough. And I think when we won Fish and Chip Shop of the Year, obviously the volume of fish that we were using had gone through the roof. And the money they wanted to charge us, I was like, nah, I'm not paying for that. I'm not. And again, my customers weren't savvy enough. I'm not saying they didn't know what it meant, but they weren't savvy enough to care what it meant, if that makes sense. However, I do understand where David's coming from and why he's decided that that's the right thing for his shop to do.
Yeah. Well, on that note, guys, we can't always agree,
Well, we live in harmony.
I'll take the authoritative voice because I'm the leader here.
Okay, we'll let you believe that.
Did someone say loser? Yeah, so anyway, no. So moving on. Mark, how's your new venture doing? Give us a little bit of a 5-minute rundown on that.
I'm not open yet.
Okay, so don't give us a 5-minute rundown. Save that for the Christmas one.
I'm opening tomorrow.
Is your phone range been plugged
in?
Yeah, so I had a delay.
Tell us about said delay.
No.
Slight delay.
Yeah, I had a slight delay due to a technical hitch.
Electrical.
With a supplier.
Was that to do that elastic trickery stuff? It's very difficult, isn't it? Elastic trickery, yeah.
But it's been resolved. And I also had a problem with my extraction, which has been resolved. So today, as soon as I finish here, I'm going to switch everything on and start cooking. Tomorrow, I'm going to switch the app on just for some people to put orders through. And I'm going to test everything tomorrow and then I open the day after.
Oh. Do you deliver to Doncaster?
No. In fact, one of the problems I've had is I've actually come away from pre-a-day or quick serve this time, and I've gone with Pana Epos because and
they use ICR Touch, don't they?
Yeah. And Lauren Kellaway offered her help. She was very helpful because she uses ICR Touch. And I'm really comfortable with quick serve and pre-a-day, but I'm very uncomfortable with the fact that it's been sold to an American company. And
I thought Access Group were British.
Access is British. No, it's New British. Zealand. Access is New Zealand, I think.
Oh, okay. In any case, I was told that when things are likely to change and quick service I don't want to rock that boat anyway. But I took advice and I decided to give ICR Touch a go. And Pana Epos have been superb. really. I could.
Just to jump on there, we've just ordered a system from Panaripos as well to update all our tills. So
Brilliant.
we're
So
looking at. I might be on the phone to you.
So Access Group is it's Loughborough, so Leicestershire.
I thought it was
Okay.
British.
Yeah,
That was British.
because we use two of their softwares anyway. So we use something else that they do. So, but I also think ICR touches Oracle. I'm not sure.
Yeah, well, there are some challenges because some of the working systems that I was familiar with Preoday weren't currently available with the ICR touch system. And you know what? Panaripos found a way to integrate or to adapt their system so that it worked with me. For example, and I'll just use one because I don't want to bore you. When you set up a delivery radius with QuickServe, you can drop a cursor, move it, and build a delivery area. With the ICR touch system, you basically put a pin down, it draws a circle round it, and you can make that circle bigger and smaller. And I didn't want to include my whole town and all of fields and stuff around it. I wanted to actually map it out, and ICR Panaripos found a way to make that work for me. So little things like that, they've really impressed me, and they've held my hand and shown me how to use their system, and it's been a very enjoyable experience. So big shout out to them.
Kelly?
Can I ask, sorry, not to go too much off tangent, but are they relatively easy to get hold of, Panaripos?
Yeah,
They've been really supportive throughout the whole process.
I've got one main contact at Panaripos, one of their support people. Her name's B, and we now WhatsApp. So I can WhatsApp her and then we can do video calls and stuff like that.
I'm not going to say it. Just be careful what you do, Mark. You be careful what you WhatsApp people. You've got to be careful. I've seen the messages I get off you sometimes. They're a bit
Okay, I'll take that under advisement. Thank you.
Yeah, just make sure that B and Stelios don't get the same images.
Or if she gets a Des Collinson message, she's in for because she will be in for a surprise.
Hey, don't you bring Des into this? He's my secret deviant.
I just think for me personally, don't get me wrong, QuickServe for us, from day dot.
They've been brilliant. They still are brilliant. But
the costs associated with that,
they're starting to climb as well.
They're starting to climb, and they're starting to climb rapid. And we've got 5 platforms, so it's becoming a lot.
I'm always looking to future-proof, and for me, setting this thing up, I wanted to try something different. Because for me, QuickServe was Nick Hucker.
100%.
That was my relationship, and I've got so much time, respect.
Is Nick still in place?
I believe he is, but for how long I don't know. And the noises that I was hearing were not all positive. I don't want to put QuickServe down, but I just made a business decision to go with Panaripos.
My experience with Access Group, and I don't know them from Preoday. I know Preoday from Preoday, but my experience with Access Group, because we have 2 softwares that we use from them, they charge a lot. They're more expensive than every other app in their field, but they tend to have very good service, and they bring new features that are wanted very quickly. So that could be a benefit, but the price will likely go up. There's no doubt. One example, one of the software we use, one inventory software, it's £300 a month. From someone else, it's £150. But they are good. It is good. So, yeah. But yeah, keep your fingers on, keep your eyes open, and let us know if anything changes.
Yeah, I'll let you know for the Christmas podcast what my fishless fish and chip shop goes like.
Yeah, nice. Well, it's not a fish and chip shop, is it?
Well, it is, because it's got frying range in it, and some people make that an important criteria of membership. So it's got frying range in it.
Just you make that as a criteria.
I went to a Chinese takeaway once, and they had a frying range in.
Yeah.
You try and join some trade organisations. They insist that you have a frying range.
Yeah. Okay.
Really?
All right. Okay. We'll see.
Which trade organisations would they be?
No, I'm not even talking about that.
Kelly Barnes audits.
Yes. So we've been doing managers meetings monthly anyway, not only to give them feedback on the accounts and obviously each individual shop, but also to kind of discuss reviews and discuss their performance and discuss, cutting staff and making sure that everything is as it should be. However, I noticed a couple of things within each individual shop that I felt needed looking at. Not only cleanliness, hands up, being honest, completely honest. Running 3 shops from an office, which is kind of what you have to do now, is not easy. But I am constantly on it. And I think cleanliness kind of has always been top of my list. Cleanliness, service and quality are kind of the 3 main sort of it's the triangle that we base our business on. And there was just a couple of bits and pieces that I wasn't happy with. A little bit of paperwork, there was little gaps in the paperwork that weren't being signed off at the end of the day. And I just felt that now was a good time to start auditing my own businesses and kind of going back to basics from that perspective, because you spend a lot of time putting in systems and procedures to ensure that your business runs accordingly when you're not there. However, there's no point having them if you're not checking up on them. So I decided that I was going to start doing sort of audits, and that just consists of me going in when they don't know. So there's no set time, and it's not about checking up on them so I can give them a bollocking. It's about checking up on the shop as a whole, seeing whether there's gaps that might potentially need looking at. And when I say gaps, in terms of what they have available to them as managers. So it might be that their job has kind of grown past them, if you like. So it's making sure that they've got everything that they need as a manager to enable them to run that business.
Makes a lot of sense, Kelly. I think one of the things we've been doing over the summer is, for every process, is having a standard operating procedure. And I think it's something that we do a lot, but it's all right building it. But if you're never going back and A, testing it, and B, reviewing it, then what is the point? You can sort of feel good saying, well, I did it and that's it. But if you actually, it's something me and David Miller spoken about in the masterclasses, that you need to check, review constantly. You can't just do something and forget. So, and what's the feedback been like from the staff when you've actually built a procedure and then you're actually enforcing it and checking it?
So we've always had checklists in place. Oh God, probably for the last 15 to 18 years, the checklists have always been there. But like I said, so I feel like the managers sometimes are chasing, it's constant chasing all the time. Now everything's digital. Again, Charlie made it all digital. We packed stacks and stacks of paper. Charlie's made everything digital, and it's great, and it's all on Google Docs, and I can access it so rather than me having to go over to Exeter to check their checklists, I can now access it via Google Docs from the office, which is great. But to be fair, all in all, the team know that those standards are expected of them, but it's more for my managers really to make sure that they know that they've got my support. But also there is gaps. I feel that one of our shops is nowhere near as clean as it should be. And I think to be able to sit here as a previous fish and chip shop of the year winner and admit to that is a big thing. It's not up to standard. Facially, custom side, absolutely gleaming, nothing I could put wrong. But there was just little nooks and crannies, because that's what I always look at, the 1%, actually, because that's what we push the business for, looking at the 1% to make a bigger picture. Yeah, I just felt that it wasn't up to standard, and I felt like it needed work. And I felt in order to do that, rather than just kind of picking, I wanted to go and look when they weren't expecting me. Because actually, if you say I'm going to pop up, they run, it's like anything, isn't it? If your team know you're on the shop floor, they run round and they're twice as better as they are when they're not there. So going in on a day that A, it's closed, B, I know no one's going to be there, and I can have a really thorough inspection. There was things I wasn't happy with, but there's equally things that I was really happy with. And it's about giving them the big picture and the whole picture so that they can go, okay, well, they're the bits that I need to miss. And is that because I sent staff home too early? Or is that because I'm trying to save money? And, it's all very well and good me saying, cut the staff. But if they can't do their job properly, then you've got to relook at the whole picture. And it's for them to come back and say, well, actually, I sent the staff home early that night because you were nagging me to save money. So it's about finding a balance across the brand and across the company. But yeah, all in all, they're always really on board with these things, because I think what it shows is that we're supporting them and we're giving them everything that they need. And it's not, like I said, it's not about bollocking them. And I'm not here to criticise their work, because essentially means I don't have to be on the tools as often. So yeah, it's in all, I think it'll be a very positive outcome.
Makes sense.
Good.
David Miller, tell us a little bit about your preparations for the Christmas markets and everything.
Well, I will be back on the tools for that for 37 days. So there you go. But yeah, we're getting ready. As you know, we do the Christmas markets now. We have 2 pitches in York, Nick's Fritz, and then I have the trailer up at the top in a quieter part, thankfully. Yeah, we're getting ready. We've paid all our deposits. Anyone that's thinking about markets, a pitch is something like 20 grand plus VAT. So that's all paid up.
It's a small change then.
So we need the money to come in. Obviously, the budget is coming, so I'm thinking about that. What's that going to do? We had a good year last year, better than the year before. Are people going to be spending money? So that's the other thing. But you've got to, if we've committed to it, so we've got to go for it. We're looking at pricing. Again, it's a guess when you get there. The clever thing Nick does is he had loads of little signs do, and he can change the price as we know we're onto a winner sort of thing.
So if you was to go,
that's just business.
If you was to go in on day one and you were like £9, you could and you think, oh, you know what, we need to be more here. No one's moaning, and bang, yeah, you could do it.
Yeah, And I suppose now the biggest thing is getting the staff. So we're now recruiting for staff. I think everybody knows that is a struggle at the moment to get the staff to do it. So again, what we don't want to be getting into is paying more rates than what we do for our people that work for us full time. So that's a difficult one. So yeah, we're planning, we're getting ready, got all the cheese ordered, that's already set up, done the fixed prices, got all our products already ordered so they know what we get through. We've looked at the forecasts. So yeah, it's going well. And this time we're actually going to be here in England so we can be more sorted this year, because last 2 or 3 years we've been away and then coming back and like hot footing it for the last 4 days, and it's been a bit of a panic. So we're going to be a lot more organised this year. But looking forward to it. It's a good time of year. Everyone's in a great mood, and it's great because I usually start with a coffee and Baileys from the kiosk next door.
Well, and you've also got that nice Greek cafe on the corner. That's a good one.
Yes, I have. Yes, that's lovely.
I might get the crew. We might get the crew and bring them all up there. What do you reckon?
That sounds like a plan.
Yeah,
we'll look after you. Come and have a look at it. You'll come and out. It's fairly awesome because we've got Shambles running as well. We've got the trailer running and that running. It's pretty awesome to look at. Really. I stand back and go.
And York is awesome at any time of the year, let alone Christmas.
Yeah.
It becomes magical at Christmas.
Yeah. So, and I think it is still in the top 5 in the UK, and it is somewhere in Europe as well. I don't know if it's the top 10 most visited Christmas market. Yeah. But some of the guys you meet there, Stella, are just unbelievable. All they do is festivals and markets. And there's a company that do is it churros? Churros. They do churros.
I'll put them on my menu.
They have one in Newcastle, one in York, one in Manchester, one in Belfast, one in Cardiff, and they graft like hell over Christmas, and then they don't start work till the big festivals start, like the Isle of Wight and stuff like that. But logistically, again, you're looking at 7 pitches there? That's 150 grand of anybody's money laid out, and drink stalls, believe it or not, are 37 grand per pitch.
Why is that?
Because they get through more, don't they?
When you say drink, any drink or
alcoholic drinks, alcoholic drinks like your mulled wine,
cocktails and so on,
mulled cider, whatever they're doing. Yeah.
It's not bad, is it?
But it's good, and I don't mind sharing that information. But I must admit, when the first year we did it, we were doing the numbers and worked out what we had to take a day just to break even, and we both had a panic attack on the Monday. We really did. And then we opened on the Wednesday, and by Friday, I just went, we're going to be okay. Be okay.
You had that feeling.
But again, you're down to the weather. If you remember them storms last year, that cost us a massive amount of money, a lot of stock. So again, it's all weather dependent. It's just a risk. And that's what I've learned this year with doing the trailer and events. If you haven't got the weather, you're buggered. Yeah. And it's as simple as that. But yeah, looking forward to it. It's going well, and if you are in York, drop in and see us. And we'll show you about.
I'm going to make a trip up.
Come and have a look.
I'm going to make a trip up.
Let us know. Get in touch. Or if you haven't got money, get in touch with Stelios. He'll get in touch with me.
Yeah, let's do it.
And if you want to come and have a look at it, you're more than welcome to come and have a look how it works.
Get that sorted. Kelly, get your ass up here, mate. Come on.
Oh well, I haven't told David yet, but I'm actually coming to York for 3 days in February.
Oh, fab.
Yes.
That's not at Christmas though.
I know. Well, I might come up at Christmas. I got busy December, but yeah.
Kelly will have to come and imagine she's there.
I'll be around, Kelly. Don't you worry.
Perfect.
Just give him a few weeks' notice. Yeah. David Nicolaou, tell us the good news about this airport opening near you. Does that make loads of money now?
Well, so 2022, sort of Doncaster Sheffield Airport, the operator, a company called Peel Group, they operated Teesside, they owned the Trafford Centre at one point, Liverpool Docks, decided that the airport wasn't viable and they wanted to shut it down with a view to redeveloping it all as a business park, a technology park, which would have been great, because obviously more people working up there. I mean, around the airport, there was 8,000 people employed. On the airport property directly, there was 800 employed. I think that's the right numbers. And we used to get an awful lot of business from them, especially lunchtimes. Anyway, so sort of roll on 3 years, and they finally got the funding. The local council, the South Yorkshire's mayoral authority, have put 160 million quid into to reopening it. So we've got aviation activity back on the grounds coming. So it's not all doom and gloom. There are some lovely green shoots, and it's something that the Conservatives said they would support. They never did. There wasn't the money for it. Labour have rustled up the cash and said we need these regional airports open. It's really important for freight, logistics, technology. So yeah, it's just nice to see a positive story. That things we're actually investing in the future. And we're not just patching problems that we've inherited from the past. So yeah, it's going to be positive. It's not going to be anything major happening till sort of mid 2026. Cargo's coming back in. I mean, and I love that airport. I learned to fly. I finished my pilot's license off that airport, and it's a phenomenal place to fly in and out of. And it's so easy. You're straight on the motorways. It's a piece of cake compared from where we are. Compared to travelling to Manchester or Leeds, Bradford, it's a bit of a godsend, and there's lots of times I remember sort of operating between 737s and 747s, landing in a tiny little, wind up clockwork plane. It's brilliant.
Does it bring extra footfall to the business?
Yeah, we've oddly enough, when it closed, we were just getting into the awards 23, 24, so we got all the PR from the awards. So what was lost from the airport was very quickly replaced by the success from the awards. And we've kept on to most of that business. We've hung on to a good, I think we went up 30% on the whole after the awards, and we managed to cling on to about 15%. So it'd be nice to have, a boost with more economic activity in the area. So, despite my dark and dour projections for the economy, things are happening. Things are, we have got green shoots here and there.
And talking of green shoots, Kelly, tell us about your charity day that you're planning.
So we are 25 years old this year, which I think needs shouting about, especially after everything we've kind of talked about in this podcast. So very, very, very proud of that. I'm definitely should have invested in shares in Hair Dye, but that's a different story. We want to raise £25,000 in a day, which is obviously no mean feat. So across 2 shops, we are going to be selling 2,500 portions at each shop, Exeter and Exmouth, and for £5 a head. All our potatoes have been kindly donated. We've had support from Friars Pride, Ceres, Tea Quality, Smales. They've all been very, very supportive. So it's really nice that, even after all this time, you've got people within the industry that are willing to support you. Yeah, and every penny that we take on the day is going to charity. My staff are working for free. And yeah, that's basically what we're doing. We want to raise 25 grand in a day, which is obviously a massive.
What day is this?
What charity?
October. Go on. Yeah, what charity? So it's for a local charity called Heads Up, who support special educational needs in primary schools. So where there is a downfall in support, they basically go in. They're a not-for-profit charity. And I'm hoping that if we can raise 25 grand, it might give them an extra 1 or 2 members of staff for at least a year moving forward.
That's going to be great. That's going to give them a massive boost, isn't it, that 25 grand?
Absolutely. And we've done, like Rob did a half marathon, and the girls ran from each shop which ended up being a marathon. It was about 40k. So 2 young girls, literally one of them's 14. She does my washing up on a Saturday. And then another girl who's 18. They literally ran throughout the summer at one of the hottest days of the year. They ran started in Exeter, ran from Exeter to Pines Road, and then from Pines Road to Exeter Road, there are 2 Exmouth stores. And they raised £600 and Rob raised about 500. So that's sort of like £1,000 in already. But yeah, it's just something nice. You know, at the end of the day, we've kind of, there's a lot of doom and gloom around at the moment, but let's remember that we've got a brand that we can help start shouting about. So yeah, really excited.
Is there anything as the Podsquad we can help in any way?
Just, do you know what? I think just obviously sharing it where you guys are, but just, letting people know in the industry that actually there is things you can do to support your local community. I think that's all it's about, really. Everyone's so focused on themselves, and rightly so, in the current climate. But I think just shouting about it, letting people.
Have you got a Just Giving page or anything like that?
I haven't, but maybe we should do. That's a really good point, actually. It's just, it's there.
What's the date again? Sorry,
October the 11th.
And I suppose if there's any fish merchants out there that want to give a bit of fish,
yes,
you know where to send it.
Absolutely. We will gratefully accept anything that will be sent our way, apart from goldfish, because they won't sell.
I'll pop you a case in the post myself.
I think it's one of those things, like, what I like about you said you was pleased about the wholesaler support and the supplier support. Like when you spoke to me, it was just very much like, what you need. And like you said about the potato guy was the same, and other people you spoke to the same. And I think because it is for a good cause, you've also been in business a long time. It's clear that you're not just using the fish to like line your back pocket. But I help people that try drum up business, which is fine too. Like if someone said to me, I'm doing an offer, like I want to do, you always try help. So I think this is a great reason to all jump on board.
100%. I think you just have to, look, I'm not going to sit here and say it's not going to be good marketing. Like at the end of the day,
that's also a good thing. Yeah,
it's good marketing, but I don't do these things because I want to line my pockets. I do it because I enjoy doing. I being in business for me is about giving. If I've been in a position where I can give back, then that's what being in business is about.
Being a good business within the local community is also good for business.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So you can do all these nice things, and it's all full circle. It's virtuous.
Yeah. And I enjoy it. I love meeting people. So for me, it's it's just a day of chatting away.
Yeah,
absolutely. It's good business karma.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good for you, Kelly.
Can I one last thing, Stel?
Yeah.
Can I just mention Freshers Day and how?
Oh yeah, tell us. I'm glad you've mentioned it, because I'll give you a little bit of a run up into this. So I forgot about this actually. However, one day I don't have Facebook on my phone, and I log into my computer, and I see in the stories on the top on Facebook that there is condoms. Now, anybody listening to this think, what's he on about, condoms? And I'm thinking, shit, if I clicked on something that I shouldn't have clicked on. So then I click on it again to see what it is, and it says Krispies on the condoms. I was confused, I was busy, and I forgot about it. And then I talked to Kelly, and then Kelly tells me what she was about to tell us. So tell us, Kelly, how you got your name on condoms.
So basically, we were sat round a dining table, and we knew we wanted to go to Freshers Week. And we decided that it cost us £500 for a table in the Great Hall at Exeter Uni. And we were literally slap bang in the middle of every university society with no other business. So it was just us. Domino's was outside. They were giving away free pizza. There was free coffee outside. So we were slap bang in the middle of, I think it was probably about 55 different societies. Exeter Uni is a very wealthy university, lots of engineering, lots of economists, and that sort of and law and maths and doctors and those sorts of people. So it was a great place to be. So me and the fam were sat around the table and we're like, oh, what can we do? And we're like, oh my God, wouldn't Krispies condoms be great for freshers, like that age group? So we were like, yeah, let's do that. That would be really funny. Then my daughter said, oh, I've got a great slogan, wrap your sausage before you batter it. So that is Excellent. What we put on we did little credit card size with the QR code of Krispies app on the back. So the whole purpose of going was that we got the uni students to download the Krispies delivery app, not the Deliveroo and Uber, which is obviously what they're going to be used to. But it was amazing. So when they were sort of looking at me like, some of them were like, no. So what we were like, oh, but we offer jobs as well. So if you're looking for a job, you've moved away from home. So we actually took on 2 people from that Freshers Fair. One of them worked for Bell's Fish and Chips. So they've come to us now. So they're going to be working with us. And yeah, it was great. So on the first day, so we had 600 condoms to give away. And Blenders got on board as well. So they gave us loads of sauces. We wrapped some sweets in a bag. We wrapped a Charity Day leaflet in there and we handed them a little goodie bag. And we had 65 people create accounts on our app in the first day.
Well done.
So yeah, it was good fun.
Genius. Well done.
Really cool.
I'm impressed, Kelly. Every now and then, Kelly, you do impress me.
It was good fun, but with a purpose, and I think that's the main thing to get across to people listening. Is
who says business can't be fun?
Absolutely.
And Kelly, you are
usually a crispy condom's never a good thing.
Well, we got to a point where we got one left, and we were like, one between 3, but please don't share it. Literally,
put it over your head and inflate it.
Talking about the opposite of fun, you are now going to start hassling us this afternoon about getting our dating for the next Pod Squad. And we said we'll give it a little bit of time. So we'll probably release it over Christmas. So we'll get it recorded a couple of weeks before. We'll probably have a bit of Christmas fun, Christmas spirit. And it might be
better off leaving it till the budget.
Well, it will be, because obviously
just after the budget.
It will be after the budget anyway, because it's before Christmas. So it will be. Yeah. And hopefully we'll pack the budget in early on, and then we can have a bit more of a relax afterwards.
It'll be great. She's going to save the planet.
We can maybe if we did like an evening podcast, and David Miller could talk us through some drinks that he likes. But
that'd be nice, wouldn't it? Put a bit of jazz on in the background.
Hey, do you know what I had last night? I had a French 75.
You sent me it.
So it's gin, lime juice, lemon juice, and then topped with LP champagne. Lauren Perry champagne.
Stop it. Right, you need to put that in the chat, that recipe.
I think he sent it me last night, thinking he sent it everybody.
Yeah. That sounds nice, that. Can you say it in French?
French 75.
No. He just said 75 in French.
He just said it in York instead. All right. Okay. So, well, guys, ladies, it's been absolutely amazing. I've enjoyed this. And yes, until the next time.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys. Good night.
Bye.
Cheers.
Thank you so much for tuning in. It's always a real pleasure bringing you these conversations and sharing the mic with these people who genuinely care about the industry. Don't forget to join our WhatsApp announcement group or sign up to our mailing list, and you get first dibs on new episodes, new articles, special offers, competitions like James Thornton, who just won a pallet of Yorkshire Batter Mix, and Martin Robinson, who won one before him, and all the latest news from the Ceres team. As always, we're here to help your business thrive with great products, proper support, and real conversations. Until next time, take care. Thank you again for listening.